Mic check, mic check. Welcome to On the Mic with Ray White, where we share life lessons, encourage self-reflection, and equip you to take action. My name is Ray White, and I am juiced that you're taking time to listen to this episode today. And I got a thought I want to give you all today. And the thought that I want to share is, if you don't know, just ask. If you don't know, just ask. Where does this thought come from? Well, I was hanging out with some high school kids at a local youth group here in Kaiser, Oregon, hanging out with some Young Life kids. And I am prepping to speak at a local high school here, their AVID class, which is all about college preparatory and career readiness classes. And the student, he was wearing an AVID t-shirt. And I said, yo, hello, what's your name? Tell me more about your story. Are you an AVID student? And tell me about your experience. Which was great because I had a great opportunity just to engage this kid, to get to know him, why he was there, and just his experience in the AVID courses. But the main question I wanted to get to, in addition to just getting to know him, was I'm going to be speaking to his class in a couple weeks. What are some of the valuable things that you will want to know that hasn't been shared before, or would just be really cool to know from a guest speaker? And that was such a valuable question. Or more specifically, that was a valuable answer because it helped fuel me and give me the resources and the knowledge to say, okay, whatever this kid, whatever he is experiencing or whatever he would like to see is essentially content for me to put into my speech, to put into my talk, so that I can provide value to him when he's sitting in class, or other students alike who are going through his experience and want to know from somebody who is far removed from college, who's far removed from high school and college and into their career, how can they relate back to the student who is currently sitting in that chair, who is not at the career yet or not at the college yet? How can whatever conversation or whatever story or lessons or points that will be shared by the guest speaker connect to that student in the current day and time? And I wouldn't have known what would be valuable to him if I didn't ask. And I've gone back and forth with this of, especially in the speaking world, and more specifically, if I have an opportunity, I try not to overthink it, but I want to ensure that I'm bringing value to my talk or bringing value to my presence and meeting the needs of either the person who's organizing it or the students who will be in the seats or what have you. And the best way for me to understand that is to ask either the event planner or ask the audience person who would potentially be in the audience or in the target audience, what would be valuable to them? Like, what would, if not to say they need to speak for everybody, the whole populace, but their point and their value is valid. So what would be good for them? What would be valuable for them? And I wouldn't have known that if I didn't ask. If I didn't connect with him, if I didn't engage, if I didn't ask him questions and then got to the point of what is it that would bring him value with my presence in that space. That is my encouragement for the evening. That's my encouragement for this episode. It's just, I want to encourage you to ask the question instead of having it mull in the back of your head, or you overthink it, or you not knowing, you have a blind spot in this area, and then you go full-fledged into it, into whatever endeavor that you're trying towards, whether it is speaking or whether it is a project or building relationships or what have you, without knowing the full context and the full awareness of what is entailed with that to bring value and to make sure that it's effective and is meeting the needs, you will find yourself either in a very peculiar situation. Like, you would look very arrogant or look very ego driven, because I can see, for me, if I was to went in there and just shared my story and they're like, cool story, bro. Well, how does this do with me? If I went in there just shared, hey, this is Ray White and this is me in college, and it had no relation to them, they'll be like, all right, that's dope. But if I went in and say, hey, this is a specific problem that you have, let's talk about that. And let's share either some experiences or perspectives to meet that particular problem so you could take action today. That would draw more context and more awareness for them versus me just telling my story. So I'm definitely avoiding being arrogant. I'm encouraging you to do that too. But then I think on the flip side of that, by not asking the question, we continue to feed into the blind spot, or the void in which that we don't see something becomes larger and larger. And again, when we move full-fledged into a situation or into an initiative or what have you, we would find our blind spot becomes bigger and bigger and it becomes then the elephant in the room. And that's very uncomfortable, right? It's like, again, back to the speaking analogy. I go in there and yes, I don't know what they need, but I will speak to what I know, and that just makes an uncomfortable feeling. And they're like, cool, that really wasn't what I was expecting. Sorry, we're not going to ask you to come back. And that's not cool. So I want to make sure I bring value. I want you to make sure you bring value. And the best way to do that is to ask the question. If you have it in your mind, if you have it in your thought, no question is a stupid question. So ask it. Let them know. And here's some other thoughts I want you to share. So how do you get to that point just to ask the question? First thing you got to do is connect. Connect with the people, connect with whoever it is that you are going to be working with, and get to know them, engage with them. Be able to build a relationship with them, not to have it as the transaction thing, like, oh, I'm only connecting with you because I'm going to get something from you. No, it's like, okay, how can I genuinely build an authentic relationship with this individual and get to know them? So connect with them first. Secondly, what's the point of this talk, is ask the question. Make sure you ask questions just to understand what it is that you're striving toward, what it is that they see value, so that you can move to number 3, which is to reflect on it. And this is my reflection with you, is now that I know what this student is asking for and what would be good for him, after I connected with them and asked them a question, now I get to reflect and put that into my conversation, to my talk with these kids in the future, saying, all right, here's how I can tie this point to this point and understand this concept and where they're coming from, and continue to relate it back to them. And the same things go to whatever initiative. If you are connecting with others and you are asking questions to understand, to help fill the void of the blind spot that you have, it brings better awareness and better knowledge for you then to take back and reflect. So that way you can do number 4, which is to take action based upon what you've gathered, the info that you've gathered. And the information that you've gathered as you're taking action in that space becomes way more pointed and helps serve the need versus whatever plan that you have set for yourself. So I'll run through them again. The 4 ways that you need to help you ask the question, or to help you get into position to where you fill that blind spot, is you connect with the people, you connect with the initiative, you ask questions to truly understand and help fill those blind spots. You reflect on what you've heard and learned to then, number 4, take action on those things based upon what you've gathered from an information space perspective. I'm so excited that I got that chance. It was really good, because now I'm juiced. As you can see, I'm hyped. So after this, I'm going to go off and I'm going to go write my talk based upon that conversation I've had with him. But I wanted to share that with you so that you can step into the rest of this week, or whenever you're hearing this podcast, and think about, how do I fill the void, fill the blind spots that I have, and how do I not be afraid to ask the question so that I can be well equipped to take action that brings value to those that I'm serving. And that's essentially it. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast. Be sure that you are listening to this on all social platforms. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor FM. You can find this all over the place. On the Mic with Ray White. Check it there. And you can also follow me on social media at Ray Devante on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn at Raymond D. White. And we're on YouTube too. Check us out on YouTube. Just follow my name, Raymond D. White. You can see you on YouTube there and see me in action face to face. But this has been a fun conversation. Take this Tuesday thought with you and let me know what you think. Tell me what question you plan on asking this week. What blind spot you plan on exposing and filling it with valuable knowledge and content so that you can take action appropriately that meets the needs of your audience. Thanks so much for listening, and continue to share your story. Peace.